accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you.
He gave her the opportunity. She probably should have taken it while she could. She's out, everyone. She's out as head of the RNC. And there are a lot of people right now that are saying, hey, this couldn't have come fast enough. A lot of handwriting was already out there on the walls, in part because some of the things that Donald Trump said, this would have been last Friday. So he went into a taping with Maria Bartiromo and he admitted this. You knew something was coming. You knew it was going to happen. I mean, their financials were absolutely positively a mess.
But the RNC doesn't seem to be so strong. I mean, the Democrats have all the money. Look at what we see. We got the Democrats actually with the money and spending it. The RNC seeking credit lines. The RNC reported its lowest bank balance at the point in any year in 2016. Comerica says Michigan GOP defaulted on a loan of $500,000.
So I have a lot of money. And the money that they get, people are not looking at the RNC. They want changes. You have to understand, I have nothing to do with the RNC. I'm separate.
How's Ronna McDaniel doing?
I think she did great when she ran Michigan for me. I think she did okay initially in the RNC. I would say right now there'll probably be some changes made.
Yeah, she's out. Ronna is out. Finito. Arrivederci, as they would say. Take a look at this. This one gets me. You know, there's a lot of like numbers. You can go back and forth. Maria was right. You know, they've had to seek credit lines for goodness sakes. That's never a good sign, right? Well, how do you like this? Maybe when you spend money needlessly or with no real purpose or as though money doesn't matter, maybe that comes back to bite you in the you-know-what. Take a look. Red State reported that the RNC spent $70,000 on flowers last year. Wow. $70,000 on flowers. Is this for Ronna's desk or something? You want to know how much the Democrats spent on flowers during the same exact period of time? Dun-da-da, $795. That would be less than $1,000. So the Republicans, what happened to them? They outspent the Democrats. Now, I would think the Democrats would be out there. You know, their whole green thing. They got to get the flowers. They would be spending on the flowers, but no, it's the Republicans. They've become a little soft, shall we say. It doesn't sound like the Republican Party I once knew. Anyway, it's coming back to haunt them in a big way. Look, they haven't won anything. Vivek's right. He was spot on, and he called it. And she was not doing the party favors in that, you know, nothing against her. She's a perfectly nice woman, I'm sure. I don't know her that well, but in other words, I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person. But why was she in that seat if they weren't winning? She had been there since 2007. Vivek Ramaswamy speaking there at the debate that lacked the main guy, right? Like they don't even have the main guy. By the way, this RNC, and we'll get to that in a second, has kind of allowed effectively for the challenge of Nikki Haley, which, okay, fine, but been there, done that, seen that. She's not getting anywhere. And yet the RNC has no control over anything. This woman is still out there, still campaigning, still trying to drive a wedge in the party at a time when it very much needs to win.
Swami, let me turn to you. Please make your case. Why should you be the nominee and not the former president?
I think there's something deeper going on in the Republican Party here, and I am upset about what happened last night. We've become a party of losers at the end of the day. It was a cancer in the Republican establishment. Let's speak the truth. I mean, since Ronna McDaniel took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, we have lost 2018, 2020, 2022, no red wave that never came. We got trounced last night in 2023. And I think that we have to have accountability in our party. For that matter, Ron, if you want to come on stage tonight, you want to look the GOP voters in the eye and tell them you resign, I will yield my time to you. And frankly, look, the people there cheering for losing in the Republican Party. Think about who's moderating this debate. This should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk. We'd have 10 times the viewership, asking questions that GOP primary voters actually care about and bringing more people into our party.
I mean, look, the reality is this, and that's a whole other conversation, right? That we've had many times. The staid media, the network media, it's just so nauseating. It's so scripted. It's so specific, and there's nothing natural. There's nothing real, and there's nothing organic or frankly intellectual about it. And Vivek's a smart guy, like lots of degrees, sold lots of companies. He's a bright guy. And he should be pointing this out. In other words, we need to be having more intelligent conversations about our future. But that's different from what we're talking about with Ronna, because Ronna, now she's out, and there's a guy from North Carolina that's supposed to be coming in. He's somebody who was very much on Trump's side as far as the voting and the final days of the election were. And he may need that. He may need that. Don't forget what he's up against, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget the apparatus that he's facing. I mean, it's not just money. It's also will. Think about what Hillary Clinton said right before we were going into November 2020. I love this clip. I have to keep playing it for you. By the way, subscribe. You see the thing down there on the side. Make sure you subscribe and you like and share. But here's Hillary Clinton talking about how they needed to fight and hang on no matter what.
Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances, because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch, and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is. Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances because
I'm not going to put you through that either. No. Okay, so Hillary Clinton, she's making it clear back in just weeks before the election in 2020, how they intended to play that game. And I guess, you're possibly going to be looking at that again. Now, the polling data suggests that Trump is already way out in front. I mean, by 5 points, according to the latest NBC News poll. But I would say that it's probably better than that, only because when you look at each of the categories and how people are rating Trump versus Biden, it's a overwhelming point spread difference. You're talking about 16 points difference in terms of just whether or not the person can do the job, competency. And you're talking about some 30 plus points on the border. You're talking about 22 points on the economy, et cetera. So she is resigning. Ronna McDaniel telling McDaniel, forgive me. Like some kind of Freudian slip. I almost called her Ronna McDonald. Ronna McDaniel tells Donald Trump that she's going to resign as Republican National Committee chair at the end of the month. This is, of course, as she faces multiple calls to step down. We've seen a lot of people. I mean, Steve Bannon on his podcast has been beating the drum here, saying, the money is not going to the right places. They're not doing the right things, and we can't get beat. We can't get beaten. And it's true. We got to be very thoughtful about this, because I'm telling you guys, the policy that's in place right now, it's not doing anyone any favors. So you need the right kinds of policies for the future, for sure, for this country. And I just say that forget all the politics for a second, just from a pure economically driven perspective, we need better policy. And pretty much anybody is going to be better policy than Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama, should she decide to run, or Gavin Newsom for that matter. You need a conservative in there. So conservatives have to get serious. So it looks as though somebody from the North Carolina person is going to actually be taking the job. Michael Whatley, I hope I'm saying his name right. This one's coming to the New York Times. They're reporting this, and it's got to be somebody who really, I think, can be passionate about getting donors lined up, that is relentless, and that is thoughtful as a business leader, right? The business leader that can really try to help bring everyone together as a chief executive, get the money thing lined up so they're not going and looking for handouts, my gosh, credit lines, et cetera. They've got to actually fix this from both the balance sheet side and from also the public relations side. You got to deal with the Nikki Haley thing somehow, some way. You got to, dangle something in front of her to get her to stop. You got to keep donors happy, but you've also got to recognize that you don't want to be beholden to those donors, right? You've got to be thoughtful about, this is the party of the future, and how do we coalesce around it? How do we take control of it? How do we gain back this narrative? And it's not by spending $70,000 on flowers. Not to pick on the flowers or anything. You know what? I love flowers too, but priorities, people. Priorities matter. Hey, listen, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like, share, do all those things. And I'll be back with you live, as always, every day, Monday through Friday, right here on the Trish Regan Show.